Good morning, guys, and welcome to another Walkthrough Wednesday. Today's topic is about focal length and specifically the 50mm and why we all love it. The working man's lens, the Nifty 50, it's got like I even think there's one like where it's called like the plastic 50 or something like that, but it's got a lot of nicknames. And it's just very ubiquitous and it's commonly known. You've most likely owned one and didn't even realize it. Even if you bought a camera with a kit lens that was a zoom lens, it most likely had 50mm in that zoom length, or 55. 50mm is so commonly known, and I wanted to know why. I was like, why is this focal length like been the one that like, this is gonna be the first prime lens that you'll get. This is commonly, you know, we love this look. Why is it 50mm? And so I started thinking about, well, what kind of millimeter is the human eye? I did a little research, and I won't get too much into it because it actually gets kind of difficult comparing the human eye to a focal length because of the curvature of our eyeballs, basically. If I was to cover up my right eye and I was to look at everything, obviously, it's basically kind of like a circle. The gist of it is I have a 22mm focal range of my eye. And so I was like, well, it can't be then the focal range. But then I kept reading and I kept digging into it and I realized this. We have two eyes, don't we? Our eyes actually cross each other and basically both eyes are seeing two things. And our brains are then splitting up those images and then creating this really wide, almost panoramic view. Now here is what is very interesting though, and I found fascinating. What we perceive is only 50mm. Let me draw a little box here for you. So if this is what we can see, this is what we perceive. So for instance, it's not that you don't see all the outer stuff, it's just that it's not what you're recognizing and taking into your brain and taking in and perceiving as a human. That focal length is 50mm. And I found that so fascinating. And I was like, that's why this focal range is so popular, because when we look at it, it is very close to what the human eye sees. So that's kind of the psychology of why humans like the 50mm lens. Now, you as the filmmaker, why should you like it? Why, you know, and because there's so many different focal ranges, guys. There's 17mm, it's like 24mm, which won't give you too much distortion and that kind of like GoPro fisheye look. The incredibly uber close 85mm. So why is 50mm the most like common range? Every camera company has their cheap, I think they call it the plastic fantastic or something like that, because it's typically just like a cheap little prime, and it's always like a 50mm f1.8, and then higher in their tier they have a 50 f1.4. But it's like the next prime lens that everyone gets. Sony's got them, Canon's got them, Nikon's got them. Pentax even still make. Pentax has probably got one. Fuji has their equivalent of like a Micro Four Thirds. You know, another lesson for another day. Every camera company sells their cheap Nifty 50. So why not pick one up? Because typically they're great in low light and it's a classic framing size that you can get a lot of things in, and we'll talk about that in a second. Like I said previously, a 50 f1.8 is very fast, so you'll be able to get some incredible bokeh out of it like right off the bat. Now, it's not going to be the most impressive. Don't look at this image and expect to see Coke or a Zeiss 50. Like, the clarity is just no. But it will get you started with some of those nice cinematic looks and give you that bokeh you're looking for. I haven't even told you guys, but I shoot this on a 50 f1.8. And look at that bokeh I'm getting. It's fast too. You know, you get a nice depth of field and it works well in low light. Now, they can be very multi-purpose. And what I mean by that is, it's not a very tight lens and it's not a very wide lens. It's more, I would say it ranges more on the tight side than an actual wide side. But street photographers have used 50mm for street photography for a long time. Typically 35mm is the nice kind of, that's like where you start to lose any bokeh, but you start to see distortion in the face. 50mm is a nice kind of halfway point to where you don't get any distortion. What I mean by that is it's a little more flattering to the face. So as your millimeter increases, basically, everything starts like squeezing in as opposed to then blowing out in lower focal lengths like 17mm, where all you can see is like my nose and my forehead. It's kind of the GoPro look. 50mm is a nice classic look of kind of what we see as humans almost. Once you start hitting that 85 to 90 to 105 to 135, you're looking at more portrait lenses and a little bit more of a different, longer look, which is definitely used in cinema as well. Kind of like elongates your subject. Now, even though 50mm is a very tight focal length, you'd be surprised just with backing up how much you can actually get in frame and what an actual nice shot it is. And these lenses are everywhere, guys. I swear, you will never not be able to find a 50mm. And I'm not just saying like the new ones that the camera manufacturers make, but the old ones. I have bought so many 35mm film cameras, and I can't tell you how many times that when I buy the camera, typically just a 50f 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.4 is just on the camera. They are great lenses and they are everywhere, and you can adapt those lenses to your new cameras. I have so many 50mm, hang on. Every single one of these is a 50mm, Ah! That was a cheap one, that's okay. Ugh! Every single one of these is a 50mm that's like under f2. And that's amazing, guys. I'm gonna drop all these, I just know it. Okay guys, so that's all I've got for today about the ubiquitous Nifty 50. If you don't have one, definitely go pick one up. I guarantee you whatever you're shooting, Canon, Nikon, or Sony, probably not Pentax, but definitely probably like Fuji or Olympus. If you go to Best Buy right now, I guarantee you could probably find one and pick one up for only like a few $100, and you'll be able to get some amazing bokeh right out of the gate. Thank you guys for coming today. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell, comment below if there's any other topics that you'd like me to talk about. I will do my research and I will talk about them, and I will keep bringing these videos to you guys. I'm really liking this series and I'm having a lot of fun making it, even if there was one guy who didn't like it. The people who watch the vlog know what that was about. Like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.